So yeah, not really much else to be said other than the fact that that was a banger of a grand finals. PGL Masters Bucharest concluded today. Aurora have ended the curse. Zontaras finally has a LAN win, the one thing that has eluded him despite how good he is throughout his entire career. The first LAN win, the first MVP, and this series went all 5 games. It was electric. Aurora looked poised at one point on Train to actually sweep this 3-0, and then Legacy stole that map on Train, dominated Inferno, and suddenly on Nuke it looked like they might pull off the impossible. And I would be sitting here to you guys ranting and raving about Aurora choking another winning opportunity. But no, at the 11th hour, it was Legacy whose clutch genes had carried them to this point in the event that failed them at that supreme moment. 5 rounds of utter chaos, and on the other side of it left Aurora as the last team standing and the ones hoisting the trophy. There's a lot to get into. I'm trying to watch Game 7 of the World Series tonight, so let's go ahead and get that done. If you guys enjoy this kind of content, you show me by leaving a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Help me at 10k subs by the end of the year. We are like 40 subs off of 9,000, so help me reach that short-term goal. Thank you guys so much for enjoying this coverage. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and thank today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by Refrag. Refrag is the #1 CS2 improvement platform, letting you take the next step beyond shooting bots standing still to putting yourself in fun game modes that mimic real game scenarios. Refrag is my favorite way to warm up and practice, whether it's using Twist's custom warm-up routine before I stream, or loading up private Nadar servers to learn utility with my buddies. Refrag has me covered. They also just debuted a new game mode called Challenger, which throws you into intense 1v5 retake situations that will challenge your abilities to isolate fights and clear sites in clutch situations. If you want to try Refrag for yourself, you can do so at the link in the description down below or the pinned comment, and the first 100 people who click it can use my code LionHeartZ for a free 5-day trial for Refrag. Also, that same code LionHeartZ is good for a 50% discount off your next subscription. So sign up today, and thank you to Refrag for sponsoring this video. We kicked things off on Dust 2 with Legacy firmly in control for the first 2/3 of this game. After Aurora won the pistol round on their T side, they won the first anti-eco against Legacy, but the Brazilians bought a scout and a 5-7 into that 3rd round and somehow managed to finagle their way into a win, which disrupted any momentum Aurora were trying to generate. They just kinda got stuck right at the top of Catwalk trying to make their way into the A site. Neeson caught a very good timing pushing through the door smoke into lower to get a pick with the 5-7. Then Lotto with a saved Galil I forgot to mention, I'm not going to go back and fix the take, takes a swing down Cat with a teammate, and they take a 1-for-1 trade there. Neeson continues to do damage with the 5-7. Meanwhile, Sadzin with the scout hits just a blind shot through the smoke, wallbang headshot, which is incredibly unlucky, hits another one after the smoke fades, and boom, the round's over. Legacy would take this opportunity and run with it, winning the next 7 of 8 rounds, and along the way, there would be some very questionable decision making from Aurora. Look here at round 6, where initially things go pretty well. Zontaras is going to get them out long, he's going to get 2 picks along the way, but then they're going to get stalled out. They're choosing to play slow here so they don't push too far into stacked up Legacy players on the A side, which are normally pretty smart. The problem starts when Wicadia gets caught on the cat flank, because this cuts off whatever lurking information Major might have at his fingertips. Now they're isolated all 4 players into long. They may have the man advantage, but with a minute left, it's going to be really hard to cross and take site control because you're pushed into very entrenched positions. So it makes sense to, at some point, maybe try and cancel and go back towards B. But for whatever reason, Aurora just wait like 30 seconds too long to start this. They are exiting long to go towards B with 30 seconds left on the clock. That is razor thin margins. You can make that rotate happen, but it's going to be close and there can't be any major mistakes. And then there are like 5 major mistakes. Neeson goes unspotted on Catwalk, Zontaras creeps down towards door, misses an easy spray on Sadzin, that if he kills Sadzin, the round might be won right there. Instead he gets picked in the back by Neeson, Sadzin walks up the door, takes a pick on Jota crossing with the bomb, and then Major's left in a 1v3 with the bomb on the floor and out of his reach before he can even get the plant off. The round just goes utterly disastrous out of nowhere. It felt like Legacy were just going to stranglehold the momentum for the rest of this game, and we'd be talking about them going up 1-0 to start the series. But the second half would prove to be utter fucking chaos in a way that's actually really hard to cover because both teams just went back and forth, all forced by win. No, all forced by win. No, all forced by win. It started off with Aurora winning the pistol round, so both pistol rounds in this game. And then on the next round, Legacy came into it with just a scout, a hero AK, and not much else, and go for a very late mid to B hit. Lotto drops the AK almost immediately to Zontaras, but Lux picks it up, refrags Zontaras through the smoke, turns around, takes a second one before Neeson lurks out tunnels to get a 1 dig onto the player window. Lux takes a third pick of the round on the player crossing through the CT smoke, before getting dropped to Major, who finds himself suddenly in a 1v3 clutch situation. He navigates up ramp and into sight, trying to clear everything, but is ultimately unsuccessful, meaning that Legacy have once again stolen momentum at the beginning of the half. The difference between the first and second being that Aurora fired back and won their own force buy the very round after. Legacy once again are going to work this late mid to B hit. This time I would say they just lost their 1v1s. I don't really think anything particularly went worse for them in approach. They just got beat in the gunfights. Zontaras took a pick on Catwalk early on with an MP9, and then as they crossed, they kind of just got beat. Jota was able to escape into tunnels and wait for the post plant, which gave Aurora more advanced positioning. Probably the unluckiest part of the round was Dumao going down to a Wakadia USP shot right on the edge of the mid to B smoke, but other than that, it was just straight up gunfights from Aurora, and they won the round back fair and square. We would go back and forth like this for several rounds. At the end of it, Legacy managed to break through and take the lion's share of those efforts, eventually finding us in an 11-8 scoreline, with I think Aurora making what is still a questionable buy decision. After losing 2 rounds in a row, they decide to force up once again. It's an 8-11 scoreline. If they lose this round, it's game over straight up. They will have next to nothing to rebuy into the following round. So they're betting on these MP9s and these 2 scouts and hoping they can make something happen. I think it's fine to play risky like this, but it needs to be pointed out that it is a risk. This was absolutely a gamble that could have burnt Aurora heavily. This time, however, it proved to be the pendulum swing in their favor to actually help them make this comeback. In this round, in a similar way to how Aurora fucked up their timing in the first half round we talked about, it was Legacy who waited far too long to make their execute happen. They were holding in mid for just way too long. They got frozen up when Zontaras took a pick with an MP9, and they were waiting and trying to see how Aurora reacted, see if they can get something back on their own. But it got to the point where it's like, hey, it's 30 seconds, you guys have to make a decision. And then they waited 10 more seconds and then started pushing through Cat onto A. And at that point, Jota takes a pick on Neeson out mid. Now it's a 3v5, you're pushing into the A side, there's so little time left, too much chaos going on, and Legacy give up this round despite having all of the economic and map control advantages you would want. It just came down to the timing of the execute being far too late. And I think this is the first time in this series that we see a little bit of nerves out of Legacy. Their response call after playing far too slow here is to go, I think, way too fast into a mid to B execute in the following round. There's not as much setup, there's not as much working with the map control, the nade layering just isn't as superior, and Jota tucked into the B doors gets a great double to cut everything out of the attack immediately. Followed up with Wakadia getting a third, and suddenly Sazin and Neeson just have to save, and there's still over a minute left in the round. It felt like that force buy win really locked things in for Aurora. They cruised through the rest of this game to finish strongly and win out 13-11. And they kept that up onto Mirage, where we had a relatively uncompetitive 13-8 win for them as well. Really, this was Zontaras and Wakadia just kind of going into takeover mode. They took all of their duels very confidently, they were winning them at a high clip. Legacy were really struggling to get any openers and get into advanced situations in their rounds, and overall, alongside Inferno, these were the 2 most uncompetitive maps in this series, so I don't really have that much to add to either of them. I will say Zontaras earned this MVP in just about every form you could imagine. He was the top fragger on 4 out of the 5 maps, he was present and impactful throughout the entire series, he ended with 103 total kills, a 1.36 rating, and he went absolutely stupid on opening kills, 28 and 15 for the entire series. This wasn't peak power Zontaras, but it was very close. He lived up to the Turkish Terminator hype in this series, and considering how precious few chances he's had at LAN titles throughout his career, it was very satisfying to see him play well in this one. It really means that this MVP was earned and not just given to him for his reputation. Anyways, we walk off Mirage with Aurora having a 2-0 lead, looking to sweep this series. Legacy so far underperforming to what you would expect. We head on to Train, which is very much kind of neutral territory for 2 of these teams, and we get by far, aside from Nuke, the most entertaining game in the series. It goes into double overtime, with Aurora having 2 separate very good chances to close out the series, but failing to do so, Legacy getting on the board ultimately with a 19-17 win. And we're just going to skip over all of the CT side Train shenanigans, we're jumping straight into the heart of it. It's an 11-11 scoreline. Let's see how this game got to overtime. Woxic takes the spawn for the upper B pick, gets really aggressive on top of the smoke to find that opening pick before going down to the trade. But I like that aggressiveness from Woxic. I don't really think that's an overextension. It's a ton of intel that Legacy are leaning towards B, and it allows the rotates from the CTs to be a lot smarter. So even though it's just a 1-for-1 trade, I think it's pretty impactful for how Aurora spread out for the rest of this round. You'll see that Jota takes more of an aggressive stance towards Pop Dog to lock off that return to the A side. Zontaras rotates down to the lower doorway on the stairs, misses his smoke, but about 30 seconds later catches the second pick of the round onto a rotating player, giving them a 5-3 advantage. And then Jota pushes up even further into Long Dog, navigates a great double on the Sadzin and Lux, and that cleans up the round, giving Aurora match and series point, with Legacy being bottomed out in terms of their economy. It's a desperation buy, mostly Galil's, only 1 AK, not much utility, and because it's Aurora, they managed to fuck this one up. And the worst part is, it's like your standard pub B push. Like, it's not even anything particularly complicated. Legacy just gather up an upper B, they push 3 out of upper into Acadia gets 1 pick, gets traded out, and because Aurora are leaning on forward towards A, there's nobody else on the bomb site, so it devolves into a 4v4 retake, and Legacy just outposition and outmaneuver Aurora. It's really unfortunate how simple of a round it is and how effective it ended up being. It was just a simple B-pop. Skipping deep into the first overtime, we find ourselves at a 14-14 scoreline. Let's get some praises, some good clutch T-side play from Aurora, because I don't often have myself in a position to do that. Here, they're going to fall behind pretty significantly. Lux is going to take an early pick in the A yard. He's going to find a second onto Acadia with just about 30 seconds left, and now Aurora are desperate to get into the A bomb site and see if they can salvage this 3v5. Major leads the charge, getting a great opener onto the player at Olaf. Jota pops Lux at the same time, and then Zontaras takes care of Lotto in the back of Ivy, so this 3v5 becomes a 3v2 in a matter of seconds. Just a great late contact into A from Aurora, where they took all the necessary picks. That's pretty impressive, and it once again puts them in position up 15-14 with match and series point. Oh, and Legacy are looking a little broke. Neeson has a goddamn 5-7. This should be prime for Aurora to end the series, sweep, Zontaras gets his trophy, a short video for me, hooray. And then it's just the laziest Ivy contact I've ever seen. Like, not even like a single flashbang thrown. They throw 1 molly, 1 smoke. Someone could have tossed a single flashbang and that would have been way better than what we got. Instead, they just kind of dry contacted and get meat grindered. It is impressively lazy in a way that just happens when teams get stressed. Unfortunately, this would be an automatic mental boom from Aurora. They would not play nearly as competitively in the second overtime. Yada yada. We walk away with Legacy somehow winning this game in second OT. And unfortunately for Aurora fans, they would carry that mental boom into Inferno. Just like Mirage for Legacy, this was a wholly uncompetitive game. Matri even confirmed as much in the interview afterwards. They simply didn't have any faith in the system. They had no push, no guts, no kills, no bitches. Well, I actually don't know about that. I'm pretty sure Major's married, but you get my point. Just a little aside before we go to Nuke. I've brought this up before in other recaps, and I'm always looking for feedback on this. I try to be very honest with you guys. When a game doesn't interest me, I'm just not going to really bother covering it as much because I want to respect your time as well as mine. These videos take a lot of effort, so I'm not going to like force myself to put a hat on a hat and go into detail about a match that feels one-sided or uninteresting. I feel like that's just not the best use of what I can bring to you guys. If you feel like that's wrong or you have a different opinion, let me know. I'm always open to feedback on that. Anyways, the mental booming felt like it was going to continue through Nuke throughout most of this, as once again, Legacy looked like the better team. Outside of winning the opening exchange of pistol round and first gun rounds for Aurora, it was Legacy who were better in the first half on their CT side, and then the clutches started coming online. One thing we haven't talked a lot about in this video is just how clutch Legacy have been. Legacy, between their 3 players of Lux, Neeson, and Sadzin, had a total of 34 1vx clutch win rounds at this event. That is 3 full map wins almost of just entirely clutch round wins. That's insane. That's simply unbelievable. That's a level of clutch from a team that I haven't seen in a long ass time. It's like Legacy have 3 Zipixes on their lineup at any given moment, and it really contributes to just how fun of a team Legacy are to watch. So when Lux caps off this pistol round clutch, it felt like Legacy were going to run away with this. They just kept winning. They won the first 5 rounds straight in the second half. Aurora couldn't catch a break to save their fucking lives. It got to the point that even the casters were just talking about what this tournament win means. You had Launders and Scrawny just kind of waxing lyrical about the fact that Legacy are going to go back to back. What this means for their place in the Brazilian hierarchy. What this means for their place in the top 10 in the world. It felt like everyone was locked in on the fact that Legacy were going to win this. Aurora just threw the reverse sweep. It was just a matter of time. So it almost feels like poetic. It feels like biblical levels of irony that the thing that would bury Legacy in this game was their inability to convert a handful of clutches. It's an 11-8 scoreline. Aurora, they're out of money. They're trying their best to just keep this game alive. It's a very slow, drawn-out round. Eventually, Legacy are rotating their way back outside with a secondary wall of smokes. Zontaras catches the first pick of the round on a lucky spam through towards below boost, but catches an unlucky timing on the smoke fade as Lotto gets the trade back. Lotto gets dropped by Wicadia in the mini, and then Sazin takes a ballsy repeat with the op on Wicadia, takes him down, picks up the M4, and then shoots Major on top of Hut, who has no idea what the hell just happened, leaving just Woxic and Jota in a 2v3. Jota jumps up into heaven and gets there just in time as Woxic's being collapsed on. He takes care of Sazin, Woxic takes care of Lux, and then is Neeson in the middle of the site trying to get one more clutch off, takes care of Jota in heaven, and just barely misses the repeat onto Woxic. If you're Aurora, you're thanking every god you can think. If you're Legacy, you're wondering what the fuck just happened, but somehow the game must go on. Now, I see the vision for Legacy here, but I simply think they played these next couple of rounds too fast. Lux is going to go straight up to the roof, onto boost, drop onto mini, jump around, and push straight to hell, right at Woxic, who misses the first shot, but then hits the second go-around on the hell window. I get why you do this. If it works, Lux looks like a fucking genius, but it is playing far too fast. The byproduct is Legacy managed to get downstairs and get the lower bomb site control, but the picks don't really go their way. Major, Jota, and Woxic, they trade their way back through into ramp, eventually leading Dumao into a 1v2 that he nearly saves with a great double pick onto the bomb plant, cutting down to just Wicadia, who's coming through control with no HP and an MP9. Meanwhile, Dumao got the door closed. This should be it. Game over. But Dumao, he overcommits to the spray after a jiggle. Wicadia throws the flash, wins the duel, both of them on no HP. Dumao simply gets unlucky. The difference between him having this insane 1v3 clutch or losing this round is like 5 HP and 1 AK shot. It's utter fucking chaos, but now it's 10-11 and the money's getting worse for Legacy. No timeout, the pace continues to get cranked. Legacy rebuy everything they have and go for a ramp rush, which initially looks like it works. They hold Jota to just 1 kill and get the lower bomb site control, but then they get slightly unlucky. Dumao gets spotted by a matter of fucking pixels by Zontaras, so instead of this insane ramp lurk that he could have punished the hell players on, he gets caught out blind for a free pick. And then Wicadia shuts the round down on the rotate through vent, nearly gets a triple kill before going down, leaving Sazin to try and navigate this solo. Tie series 11-11, and finally Legacy call a timeout. I really think they should have called one earlier, maybe after the first clutch was lost on the A site. I think they waited too long because while the timeout's good to settle the nerves, they're coming into this round with literally nothing, just a bunch of upgraded pistols. Now with that all being said, they get about as good of an opportunity as you could ask. They somehow manage to sneak Neeson and Dumao downstairs without Aurora knowing what the hell is going on. And because there's been no outside intel because of the smoke walls, right now Aurora are worried about an upper pop or a ramp play, so nobody's watching outside, meaning the rest of the Legacy players, all 3 of them, can just slow walk the full 40 seconds out through lobby, all the way outside downstairs to secret, without getting spotted, with no smokes, nothing. Just a complete free pass as Aurora tuck and wait for the intel to figure out what the hell is happening in this round. It's crazy. And it times up well enough that Legacy have 15 seconds to burst into the lower bomb site and see if they can get the bomb down. Wicadia and Jota are there, they fail to hold, and both teams go 2 for 2 on picks, leaving us in a 3v3 post-plan situation, and this is where shit gets crazy. Neeson steps through the decon door, gets a pick with the P50, steps back out, closes the door in the other 2 Aurora players' faces, and then I think he jumps the gun here. He takes a re-peek back through the door, dies as his remaining teammates flood back out a double door into safety. Sazin takes a really great read here and starts flanking through the decon on his own all the way through outside the vent halls, but as a consequence, it allows the other 2 Aurora players onto the bomb site. Zontaras, with the smartest play in the round, closes the decon door behind him and then stands tall while the bomb is being defused to get the last 2 picks and get match point and series point. A round that could have gone Legacy's way if just one more pick flipped to the other side. And then, with blood in the water, Aurora called the best call of the entire series by pushing lobby hard, just taking aggressive control, not letting Legacy breathe, and cutting this game at its heels. Aurora are your winner of PGL Masters Bucharest. Zontares gets his first LAN trophy, his first LAN MVP, and Legacy fall 4 consecutive clutch rounds short of winning back-to-back titles. Holy fuck, what an ending. Just to put some final notes in this, Aurora still have all the issues we've been covering. I don't think this makes them any more secure going into the major, but god damn it, they finally fucking won something, and that has to count for something for them, right? They finally got the demon off their backs. They got that win for Zontares. It's long overdue, and I'm happy for them. I'm happy they persevered and didn't get reverse swept. As much as I don't like watching them, I'm happy they won something. For Legacy, I think they're making a case as being a top 10 team in the world. We need to see them against some of the other truly elite teams like the Mouses, Spirits, Vitalities of the world, but I don't know, man. They're showing an incredible quality of Counter-Strike, and they're only seeming to get better and more comfortable the more lands we see them at. I could see them becoming a mainstay a la a Pain or a 3 max level of team in the near future, if not right now. They fell apart at the end, but those rounds could have gone either way. I wouldn't hold that against them. It was a fantastic comeback to the very last moment, and if nothing else, it was truly entertaining Counter-Strike. If you guys enjoyed this video, you can show me by leaving a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel already. Help me 10K subs by the end of the year. Thank you to Refrag for sponsoring this video. It's the #1 way to warm up and get better at your game. If you check out Refrag and want to get a subscription, you can use my code LionHeartZ for 15% off. Thank you to Refrag. Thank you to my channel members. You guys know who you are. I'm tired, so I'm just gonna wrap it up here. I'll see you guys soon in another video. Peace.